Hello YouTube, welcome to a new episode of Bodybuilding Cuisine. Today I'm going to teach you an idiot-proof vegetable recipe, but I'm not alone. I can actually grab that guy. I am accompanied with a cat. Yes. So, for today's recipe, Chef NH has reserved a special vegetable medley that is extremely easy to make, that is easy to keep in the fridge, and that is in reality doable with any type of veggies you like. Although I do recommend that you use veggies that conserve a lot of water because you're going to cook it for a very long time. So my favorite choice is always to use an onion base. I always start with at least 3 to 4 sweet onions, and then I add other things that actually complement the taste, depending on what you like. My favorite combo of all times is onion and pepper, bell pepper, regardless of the color. This is something that is also doable with carrots. Today I have some carrots from the garden, so I added them as well. You can try it with cabbage. I find that cabbage works really well. You can try with spinach. If you try with both cabbage or spinach, keep in mind that they don't cook at the same speed as onions. Onions take a lot of time to cook. You don't want to burn them, you want to dehydrate them, and you want to caramelize them. You want them to be sweet, and that takes a long time. So you might have to add other things afterwards. I recommend adding spinach or cabbage maybe 20 minutes before the cooking is actually done so that it doesn't burn, because you want these to be softened as they will serve for a base. This is not really a meal. You can't just eat it by itself, it's delicious. I like to mix it with something, with rice and with pasta. This mixed with freshly made pasta is amazing, dreamlike. So I spared you the time I actually took to cut those out, so I assume you know how to cook and cut vegetables prior to cooking them. And once you are done, they should be cut small enough that they're not going to be chunky, because you need the heat to be able to radiate the entire thing and not just cook the outside and leave the inside raw and tough. So the pieces look something like this. They're fairly small, and some of them are going to be bigger, but they break down because it's onion. So the onion is fine. For the rest, it should be a big pile. Don't make the mistake of doing only a little bit, because as it cooks, it reduces in volume. So go for it. You really want to have a pile of vegetables if you want to have anything actually voluminous when you're done cooking. This is 5 or 6 carrots, 4 bell peppers, and 5 sweet onions. So now I have my pile. I'm not going to put it in there as is. I need to add some condiments. I need to add some spices. My base, my favorite base for this is usually olive oil. I like to drench that in olive oil because as it cooks, it's going to lose a lot of juices that is going to evaporate, but you want the entire thing to be coated in something, or else it can easily burn. So olive oil is my choice. As you'll see, I'm very generous with the dosages. As you want the entire thing to be really soaked. Once that is done, you have applied your coat. You want to add spices to that. These are vegetables, so they do require some salt. I'm going to grab some salt, the favorite choice, whatever you like. Keep in mind that even if you add a lot, this does look like a lot, but at the end of the day, the veggie in itself is, yes, full of minerals, but it lacks salt. And unless you really salt the heck out of your rice and pasta, which I don't recommend, it's not going to taste like anything. So go ahead and put some salt on the entire thing. Understand that for this to be the intended taste, you need some sweetness. The sweetness will come, yes, from the veggies when they roast, but you can always add a second layer of it. I recommend soy sauce if that's your goal. Add some soy sauce. If you do sweet soy sauce, be very light. If it's low sodium, salty soy sauce, you can be a little bit heavier. If you want a more neutral taste, I recommend just doing olive oil. By itself, it already tastes amazing because, as I said, the veggies give it the good taste. So I added salt. Now, what I also like to add in terms of spices is going to be some level of these three. So I really like onion powder, but because I already have onions in there, I'm going to skip it. Add garlic powder here, because again, the taste of the veggie is fairly neutral. You can really go hard on the garlic powder. Alright. And then some ginger. Be wary with ginger. A lot of people don't really know. It's one of the strongest spices out there in terms of taste. It overpowers things very easily. So you don't want to put too much of it in there. Compared to the garlic, this is how much I'm willing to put in. This is already plenty. I can smell it from here. And now that you have your base, your coat, and the spices that the veggies are going to cook into, you have to get in there. So this is also very simple. You just mix it. And you want to make sure that all of the vegetables get nicely covered. You want the salt to spread evenly on all of the veggies. You don't want a spot to be dry, because you will find out that these are the spots that usually burn. Because the amount of time it's going to spend in the oven, because this is cooked in the oven, is relatively long. As we don't want to actually cook it quickly, we want to slowly roast in there. So you do your mix, and when you're done with your mix, you will first wash your hands, of course, and secondly, you will simply put all of this in the oven. And the amount of time that is going to spend in there is approximately an hour and a half, 2 hours. I recommend doing it at 400 degrees, around 400 degrees. And a little trick that I like to do is, after an hour, open it, take a spoon, and actually go and mix it. You don't want the veggies to stick at the bottom, because then it's really difficult afterwards to clean it. So you want to mix it around and then put it back in there. When you put it back in there, there will come a time when the outside of the onion, especially, and the bell peppers, is lightly burnt, but it's not actually completely charred. And that is the point usually when it needs a little mix. So you mix it again so that the ones that are burnt at the top can go at the bottom, and the ones that are uncooked can actually get the heat directly to them. When you get to a point where you're satisfied with the texture and the caramelization of the onions and bell peppers, this is when you're going to cut the oven, but you're not going to take it out, because most likely you're going to have at least this amount of juice still in the pan. And this means that it still needs some time to dry out. The juices are going to be sucked in by the veggies that are now completely dehydrated, and they're going to gorge themselves with all of that juice and minerals. That way you don't waste any nutrients, and it's that much more delicious. So once it's done cooking after an hour and a half, you're going to let it sit in there for another 30-45 minutes with no heat. The radiating heat from the oven will do the job. It won't overcook it. It will remove the additional juices. Once you're done, usually after 2 hours, you take it out. And when you take it out, it's ready to be consumed. I personally suggest separating the vegetables and the broth, because you'll still have a sizable amount of liquid. Put that in a container and pour it as a sauce on anything that you like. This is the trick to make rice easy to eat every single day, if that's your carb of choice. And on top of that, the vegetables. Eating vegetables is very important. And with this, you can really make a mix with whatever you like. Keep in mind as well that, as I said at the start, some vegetables are disqualified, like tomatoes, because they just fall apart. But anything with a little bit of integrity can actually fulfill that role. So this is a medley. It's whatever you like. For me, as I said, onion and bell peppers are my all-time favorite. You can replace the entirety of that and put cabbage instead. It works just as well. For cabbage, you only need 45-55 minutes of cooking. As I said, they cook slower. And that is going to be pretty much that. It's super cheap. This entire tray cost me maybe $3, maybe $4. And after that, it also stays very fresh in the fridge. You can keep this for 10-15 days. So don't be afraid of making a ton of it when you meal prep, because it's never going to go to waste. I guarantee you, if anything, you're going to have trouble not eating it too fast, especially the first time you mix this with pasta, and your life will be changed forever. So I'm going to leave you with that. I will be coming up with more recipes, because I know that you guys like the bodybuilding cuisine. And that is it for today. Chef NH, signing out.